to VHS Voyage, where you can join our journey to find, watch, and discuss movies on VHS we've never seen or never knew existed. I'm Matt.
I'm Devin.
In today's episode, we're going to watch
Vampire Hunters.
Okay, so today's episode is going to be something. It's going to be something. And I don't know what that something is yet, but it's going to be something because this movie, well, it's something. It's Tsui Hark's Vampire Hunters. And before we start talking about how absolutely insane this movie is, Devin, hit us with some facts and information.
Okay. This is directed by Wilson Chin. It is written by Hark Tsui or Tsui Hark. Okay, IMDb.
IMDb, I'm going to say 3.5.
It's higher than that.
5?
It's 4.7.
Okay, 4.7.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
Rotten Tomatoes, there is a critic and audience score.
Oh, wow, there's a critic. Okay, critic, I'm going to say 20.
It's a little bit higher.
27.
31.
31, okay.
Okay, audience.
Audience, I'm going to say 45.
It's actually quite a bit lower than the critic.
2.1.
It's Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah! 18.
Where'd you get a decimal unit?
Bro, I don't know.
It's 20.
20, okay.
You're tripping.
It's this movie's fault, dude.
Yeah. I'm not going to go over any of the actors, but I just think it's funny that Steve Bloom did the main character's voice as the American version.
Really?
Yes, it was Steve Bloom, which, you know, the anime dude that does voiceover work for everything.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny that I found him in the cast list. He's the American dub. So this movie is actually called Era of the Vampires, but this is the American title, Vampire Hunters. Mm-hmm. I found a fact that's going to explain something weird about this movie.
Okay.
Remember how we were like, why are they hopping?
Yeah.
If I pronounce words wrong, I'm sorry. A Jiangshi or Jiangshi, also known as Chinese hopping vampire, is a reanimated corpse in Chinese legend and folklore. So now we know why they hop, and now we know why they're zombie vampires.
Okay.
And this has been featured in many other books and film.
I had no idea.
Yeah, that's really it. There's like nothing on this movie at all.
This is going to be a hard movie to explain. So I'm going to read the back of the tape real quick, and then I'll do my best to try to make sense of the story here. In 19th century China, an evil monk awakes a nest of ghoulish vampires hell-bent on devouring human life. Now, a quartet of heroes trained in the Taoist Mao Shan School of Magic and their master must use their unique powers to destroy the Vampire King and its lethal coven before it's too late. Masters of the martial arts, each of the 4 students specializing in controlling the element of his namesake: rain, lightning, thunder, and wind. The story in this movie, essentially what I was able to piece together from watching this confusing mess of a movie. You got these group of guys that hunt zombies and vampires. Now, in this movie, zombies are not your traditional zombie, as he just explained. They hop around like bunny rabbits, which is fucking hilarious to see because it's just so odd. And if they eat human flesh, they turn into a vampire. But yet again, this is not the vampire you're thinking of. This kind of vampire is just this like insanely powerful supernatural beast that is just like Dragon Ball Z freaking levels of powerful, and he like sucks your soul out or something. So these guys are hunting a vampire, and the hunt goes horribly wrong. A bunch of them die, and their master goes missing. So you got our 4 heroes: rain, lightning, thunder, and wind. They are out searching for their missing master and also trying to find this vampire and hunt this vampire down and kill it. They end up at some palace and they get hired to do some work, and there's a marriage going on, and the husband gets killed by a snake, and they have to try to find this snake.
I don't even think we need to explain this, dude.
Yeah, so the story is just all over the place. It's a very ADHD put together movie. I don't even know where to go from here. What do you want to talk about, dude? This
Should
movie.
we just bounce back and forth about weird scenes?
Yes, go ahead. What you got?
I don't even know how to talk about this movie just in terms of a movie. All I know is how to talk about the weird ass things that happen.
And there's a lot of weird things that happen in this movie, and they are quite hilarious, unintentionally hilarious.
So the very first scene where they're fighting the vampire for the first time, they throw a chain at it, and the chain wraps around the vampire. Then they smack the chain with the sword, and the chain somehow catches on fire, and then it leads to a massive nuclear explosion.
Yeah.
How does a sword smacking a chain cause an explosion?
Magic, Devin. Magic.
Oh, is that what it was? It was one of their. I don't understand.
Supposedly they have magical powers. You only see it once in the movie.
Pretty much.
And that's pretty much. And they can fly, kind of.
Yeah.
They can defy gravity. That was definitely a weird scene. And before we go any further, we should say this movie is dubbed in English, and the dub is terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible in a way that makes it absolutely hilarious all through the movie.
Yep.
The voices don't match any of the characters.
Nope.
The dialogue, the translated dialogue, is just abysmal. It feels like a two-year-old wrote this movie. The dialogue is just so bad. But again, it makes it hilarious. We were laughing our ass off through this entire freaking movie. The four heroes in the movie, wind, thunder, rain, and lightning, they're kind of a bunch of bumbling idiots.
Oh yeah, they're dumb.
And they're constantly horny. They're just horny the entire movie, trying to get with different women that they just meet, and we'll talk about more about that later. But so they get to this place, and they meet the guy that hires people to do jobs or whatever he's hiring, and he hires them to help work during this wedding. And they tell this guy their name: rain, water, thunder, wind, whatever. Wind, thunder, rain, lightning. And he's like, no, I don't like that. And what does he name them? Do you remember?
I don't know.
It was like Chonk, Kong, Pow, Poo.
Yeah, right. Doesn't look that way to me. Come on. What are your names?
I'm Wind, Thunder, Rain, Lightning.
Wind, thunder, rain, lightning. What kind of stupid names are those, anyway? Forget those names. From now on, it's Kung Hei Fat Choi. Now let's try again.
The guy that hires them gets his family members after they die, coats them in wax, and keeps them alive like pets in his house.
Yeah.
Doesn't really explain why.
Yeah.
Or make sense.
So the guy he's talking about is the father of the man that the girl is marrying. Okay. Her name, what was her name? Salsa.
Dude, I don't know.
Salsa. Her name was Salsa. So Salsa is marrying this guy's son, the guy that preserves his family in wax. His son gets bit by a snake and dies. The snake was sent by her brother. Her brother is, I don't even really know what the
Matt,
point.
you keep trying to explain this movie like you're gonna make sense of it. You're not gonna make sense. There's no reason to explain this movie.
Oh, yeah.
She's getting married to him, and then they're like, oh, his last 6 wives have died.
Yeah.
After a week. That means he's murdering his wives.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you don't have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
And then he gets bit by a snake and dies.
Yeah, it dies.
This movie, oh God.
We said earlier, this movie's dubbed, and the dub is terrible. There's a random Asian man. There's a random Asian man in this movie that shows up during an action sequence. He dies shortly after, within a minute or two. When he talks, his dubbed voice is the most stereotypical Mexican accent you can possibly imagine. Like he sounds like Cheech or Chong from the Cheech and Chong movies. Just this super over the top Mexican accent on this Asian man.
Tonight is a night that we're going to remember, I guarantee it. How about that? We've been hired to rob a wedding.
And it just made us just laugh our ass off because it was so jarring. Like, it didn't even make any sense.
Nope.
Why would they dub an Asian man with a stereotypical Mexican accent?
I immediately lost it. Dude, okay, I don't even know how to set up the scene. I'm not even going to try to set up the scene. There's a scene where the dude that sent the snake is fighting a bunch of the zombie things, and when he kicks them, they fall over flat, and then they shoot back up like this. You know what it's like? You know those blow up toys you get as a kid and you punch it and it falls down and it shoots right back up? That's literally what it is.
Yep.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
They're not menacing. They're not scary. They hop like this.
Yeah, they hop around like bunnies.
And then all of a sudden, some guy just like cast a spell and they all just die or something. I don't even know what happened. They just stopped fighting.
And then there's some other weird things in the movie. Apparently, if you're wet, the vampires can't see you. If you're wet.
You know what my favorite thing is? The girl is like dying, and the dude just chunks her in a puddle.
Yeah.
He just throws her in a puddle like that's. She barely gets wet. He's like, you have to stay here. He won't see you. He just throws her in a puddle.
Yeah.
While she's dying.
Yeah.
You have to hide in the water. You'll be safe there.
And then right before that, they're fighting this vampire. And in the middle of the fight, literally, they're fighting this vampire. They're fixing to die. They're fixing to just die a horrible death. He turns to her and goes, let's get married if we live.
Yeah.
He goes, let's get married if we live. And then he goes back to fighting. We lost it. We absolutely lost it. Could not stop laughing because it was so random. The way the line was delivered, it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Sasa, if we live, let's get married.
Yes, I'll marry you.
One of them has a thing for Sasa, the girl that her husband got bit by a snake and died. And so they go to the old man, this crazy old man that preserves his family in wax. And because one of the heroes wants to get with her. And so they get in this giant, the old man's like, no, you're trying to steal my gold. You'll never get with her. And they get in this giant fight with the old man, all four of the heroes. And this old man is just this insane badass. Just this insane Dragon Ball Z badass. They get in this huge fight with him. And then they stop fighting. And the old man is like, you should marry her.
Yeah. You know what else happens in that scene?
What?
As soon as the old man says that and like flies away, it cuts to the girl. She's holding a rock. And they're like, what are you going to do with that rock? And she's like, I don't know.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know.
Huh? What are you doing with that rock?
I thought I could help.
Thanks.
Now, the girl, Sasa, gets cut by a vampire, and if you get injured by a vampire, you can turn into a vampire. Do you want to talk about one of the funniest scenes in the movie with her voice?
Oh, it's by far the funniest scene in the movie. I almost shit myself. So she gets cut by the vampire and she like kind of wakes up in a daze. And then all of a sudden, it sounds like she's been ripping cigs her whole life. It sounds like she smokes 14 packs of cigarettes a day. She's like, and then she goes, does my voice sound weird? And the guy goes, no, you sound normal to me. Or what does he say?
So she goes, my voice sounds pretty bad.
Yeah.
And he's like, your voice sounds fine to me.
Yeah.
Does her voice sound okay to you? It's probably just your ears.
Yeah.
Sasa, it's thunder.
It's my ears. There's something wrong. My voice sounds pretty bad.
Well, to me, it sounds just fine. Master, does her voice sound strange to you?
This is not a joke. The way it's delivered, I laughed so hard, I started blacking out and like sweating. I was laughing so hard. My eyes were hurting from crying, laughing so hard. I laughed for 10 minutes.
Yes.
This scene is absolutely hilarious, so random.
Yeah, very random.
And then they're like, you have to have a certain kind of wood to save her. It never shows him go get the wood. It never shows him use the wood on her, and then all of a sudden she's just fine.
Yeah. And this is not supposed to be a comedy, people. Okay? It's not supposed to be a comedy, but the whole movie is just unintentionally hilarious. There's just so much shit that's funny. Another funny part, so the old man and her brother get in this big fight, and there's a vampire like in the ceiling behind the brother, and the old man's like, there's a vampire behind you, and he's like, oh no, I'm not falling for that. And then of course he gets killed by the vampire.
There's the vampire behind you.
You think you can play that old trick on me? Hey, there's a vampire. There's a vampire. There's a vampire. You think I'm an idiot? Listen to me, old man. You're the idiot here.
And then the old man becomes a vampire. And apparently vampires can talk now because the old man was he a vampire or a zombie?
I don't know, dude. Dude, you keep trying to like make sense of this movie. I don't know how.
Before we talk about the final battle in the movie, was there anything like good?
No.
The special effects were terrible.
I have in my notes worst special effects, and I'm not even talking about CGI.
Yeah.
I'm talking about obvious smoke machines.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can like see the smoke shoot out of the smoke machine.
Yeah.
Every time a vampire shows up, a wall explodes and they come flying through the wall and it looks awful. Like it looks like you can tell it was like just a made up explosion with all these bricks.
Yeah. So at the end of the movie, there's this extremely long, drawn out, epic, I guess, climactic battle between the four heroes, their master, and the fully powered up vampire. Because at the end of the movie, the vampire gets even more powerful for some reason. And so there's this long, dude, this fight scene had to have been like 15 minutes.
It was long,
dude.
It was long.
It just kept going and going. And how did they end up beating the vampire? Didn't they like blow him up with a bunch of dynamite? Didn't the master sacrificed himself and blew up the vampire with a bunch of dynamite? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. God, this movie is something else. And another thing, you know, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. The four heroes, supposedly they have elemental abilities: wind, thunder, rain, and lightning. But you never see any of these elemental abilities. But there's one scene in the movie when one of them shoots fire out of his hands.
Yeah.
But there's none of them are fire. It's wind, thunder, rain, and lightning.
This movie had the goofiest music.
Yes.
It was like trombones and tubas and like slide whistles. Transitions had these goofy sound effects. It sounded like I was watching Looney Tunes.
Okay, so by now, it should be very clear to you people watching that this is objectively a terrible movie on all fronts. However, it is also one of the funniest movies I think we've seen. And it's not even supposed to be funny.
This is not a joke. I don't know if I've ever laughed so hard watching any movie ever.
Yes.
Any comedy, anything. Might be the hardest I've laughed ever watching a movie. You have to watch the dub version though.
Yes.
If it's not the dub version, watch Vampire Hunters. That's the version you want. If it's called Vampire Hunters, that's the version you want.
You know, you might, all the stuff you've heard us say, you might be thinking to yourself, well, this is definitely not going to be a keeper. But as crazy as this sounds, I think this is a keeper because I think I would want to watch this movie again just to laugh my ass off at it.
I want to watch this again. No joke, I want to watch this again.
Well, that's it for today's episode of VHS Voyage on Vampire Hunters. I'm Matt.
I'm Devin.
Catch you guys in the next one.